So I started dating a much older man than me when I was very young, at age 15. He had twin little babies, and they were just so precious, and I became their mother. When I was 17, I found out they had an older brother, and I adopted him as well. I got pregnant with my first baby, and we were trying to figure out how we were going to afford to take care of all the kids. So he enlisted in the Army. I ended up getting pregnant with my third child in 2009, and he deployed again. So I raised all the kids by myself for a really long time while he was overseas. And then when my husband came back from Afghanistan, he was different. A lot of things had changed. The way that he handled life was different. And I stayed for a long time because I thought that's what I needed to do for my kids. And years later, I realized it wasn't what was best for my kids. He ultimately beat me to death. The paramedics brought me back to life. I was removed from my home after that because it belonged to him, and the cars were given to him. I was proven unstable, so they took my children and gave them to him as well. I also didn't have coping skills, so I didn't know what to do. I called a friend and just told them what was going on in my life, and they thought taking me to the bar was the best idea. So we went to the bar, and we had a few drinks. She let me come stay at her house for a couple weeks. I cried 3 weeks straight, just cried and cried. And she came in with a meth pipe, and she said, "This will make you stop crying, I promise. If you're gonna keep crying, you can't stay here." Very quickly learned that in order to afford my habit, I was going to have to make some major moves. I was very lost, and the wrong people found me. I spent 3 years in active addiction, far away from my kids, far away from anything that mattered to me. And I just remember wanting to be with my kids, wanting to be at the park with them, wanting to take them to school, just wanting to do all of the things that that's all I knew was being their mom. So I just kept praying and praying. I knew God, I knew God. I always had God. He was always with me everywhere I went. There were so many times that I should have died. There were so many situations I should not have been in. But God saved me. I can distinctly remember specifically being hand-plucked out of trap houses, hand-plucked out of vehicles where bad stuff was fixing to happen. He was with me the whole time, and he should have left me, and he didn't. And one day, my mom called me. She said, "I had a patient today who was in my room, and they told me that they would like to do a documentary on you based off of your trauma from the military and your drug abuse." And so I believed her, and lo and behold, it was Intervention, the TV show. They filmed me for a while, and they sent me to a God-based treatment center in Houston, Texas. So I stayed in Houston for a while. I got clean. My parents asked me to come, stay with them for a while and help them take care of my grandma who was at their house. I stayed there clean, but still super anxious, still not knowing what my life was supposed to be. One Sunday, I was determined I was going to go to a church somewhere. My grandmother, she was bedridden. She had Parkinson's disease and many other really, really bad health issues that kept her bedbound at my parents' house. And as I'm flying past her door, banging things and slamming things, she said, "Girl, what is wrong with you?" And I said, I'm just trying to get to church, and I know that there's no church open after 11 o'clock, and it's 10:50, Mama. And she said, "Just put church in your GPS. It's not going to take you to a closed one." So I just walked out of the house in the clothes that I had on. I put church in the GPS, and I just followed the directions. I didn't look at where it was taking me. I pulled up at Victory Family Church. I sat in the parking lot, and I thought, are you going to go in there by yourself? You're going to do this by yourself? And I got the courage, and I just walked in, and I walked in late to service, and as soon as I opened the doors, Jesus met me right there. I opened the doors, and the light was shining on me. No Longer Wondering was playing so loud, and I just felt at peace. I knew I was exactly where I needed to be. So I got clean in 2017. I have been clean ever since. I talk to my kids every morning. I'm very, very grateful that the Lord brought restoration to our relationship. I had to work really hard to prove my character, to prove who I was as a person now. And there was a lot of hurt involved in that. There were a lot of Sundays where I was down at the altar just crying to whoever would pray with me about bringing my kids back into my life and us being healthy and them understanding what I had gone through, just being okay with that being a part of my story. But I had to find my security in God first before I started to seek that relationship with them. And I'm really, really grateful for the growth. When we found out you guys were doing baptism, we jumped to sign up for it. She had never been baptized as an adult, so I know it's very important for her, but it's also very important for me. Even though I got clean, there were still characteristics in my life and behaviors in my life that just didn't line up with the Bible. I've worked really, really hard over the last 6 months to realign myself with the Lord and to shake off any of the sin that I consider to be normal behavior for myself. And I plan to wash it off with my daughter next to me. If you're just sitting in the back row of the church, crying through your hurt and your trauma, please know this is the place for you. God is here. There were days that the church wasn't open that I still spent hours in the parking lot of that church. So the parking lot's so important. The parking lot is so important. It may not be important to you, but it's important to me. The parking lot saved me. And to think that there's somebody out there suffering who's on their last leg, who just GPS'd a church that was open. We've got to have room for them. We have to have room for them. Victory Family Church is my tool belt now. I didn't have a tool belt before, and it's helped me establish coping skills and helped me to be solely dependent on the Lord. I'm so grateful for Victory Family Church.